Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Substance Institute presents curriculum um, introduction section. I want to personally thank um, SICA International for allowing me, Substance Institute, to bring this presentation of curriculum introduction, the power of developing a curriculum. It is an honor to be here, and I'm so glad you joined me this morning. So let's just get started. I have, as well, you don't know me, but lots of you do, and some of you don't. I have a lot of information to give you, but I only have a short period of time to do it. So let me get started right now. I am so glad to see you, Dr. Barbara. I see you. Hi, how you doing? Let's get started. So today's workshop, we're going to be dealing with the structure and basically answering these questions. What is curriculum? We're going to deal with the history about curriculum, the what, the when, the where, the how, curriculum objectives, the definition, curriculum architectural model, the curriculum design, and writing, curriculum um, glossary, as well as we're going to have a time for question and answer. And you're going to say, in an hour? I know the feeling, trust me, but I've got it together. So let's just get, can somebody mute yourself, please? Thank you. So what is the curriculum? You look at all of this and you see this right here and you're like, oh my God. Well, one of the things that is so exciting about curriculums is that it's beyond the lessons. Curriculum is not simply a collection of lessons, it's a design system that produces transformation. In other words, it has a vision, it has a structure, it has an alignment, it has measurements, it also has scalability and sustainability. And that's one of the things that's so important. So let me just answer the question for you. What is a curriculum? A curriculum is not simply a lesson plan. It's not a lesson plan. It's not merely a syllabus. It's not a collection of PowerPoint presentations. Curriculum is a document, a document system of structured learning designed to produce measurable transformation. And yes, I'm here and I'm going to show you today what curriculum is all about. Why curriculum is power? I'm so glad you asked. The word power in a workshop explains in leadership and an institution how curriculum is carried. One of the things that it carries is the fact that it's the structural power or the scalable power, the authority power that you have, the economical power that you have. Curriculum determines whether your vision becomes repeatable or remains dependent on you personally. The vision without structure creates inconsistency. Structure creates repeatable. Repeatability creates scalability. Scalability creates sustainability. That is how institutes or corporate or ministries affect or get to be a part of curriculums. And you wonder, why is it my lesson is not being repeated? My question is, what is your curriculum like? Another thing is about curriculum. Curriculum shifts from teaching to um, it shifts from teaching to a like a you see all the gearboxes there. That's exactly what as how curriculums are. It literally connects and it moves accordingly. So if your foundation is wrong, and we're going to see this a little later, anything that you build on top of your curriculum, it will not be developed at all. So shifting, or one of the things of the engineering portion of curriculum, is that it's a clear lesson objective. It is aligned assignments or assessments. It is a measurable outcome. It is an evaluation system, and it's a sustainable plan. You're going to hear that word, a sustainability plan, all through this. This shifts, transfers a speaker into a builder. It transforms a teacher into a system architect. And that is one of the things that as the core components of a powerful curriculum is one, the vision alignment. Curriculums must align with the vision or the mission or the long-term direction of the institute or the project. Number two, in the 6 components. One, you got to define the outcome. And lots of people don't deal with the outcome because you're so busy focusing on the beginning. But you have to think about the outcome. It must be measurable. It must be achievable. It must have a time bound in it. In order to make changes in the curriculum. The second or the third component is the structure. Learning must be logical. That's first, and each mode or each week or each chapter builds upon the previous. And you're going to see this today. In other words, another thing is the fourth core component for powerful curriculum is the assessment. And one of the things about the assessment, every outcome must be measured. If it's not measured, it cannot be validated. Outcome, modules, assessment are the steps for curriculum. Number 5, a delivery framework. The instructor guides. You as an instructor will guide the students through the lesson. The textbooks, students' textbooks, is another form of delivery framework. You're watching right now the slide deck or a slide presentation. I call them decks, but they're slide presentation. Another one is a template, an evaluation. These tools become your consistent across any platform, any place. And number 6, your review and improvement circle. In other words, curriculums must evolve. It requires schedule audits or refinements. It's just sort of like today. This is the curriculum. Am I correct? And because it's a curriculum, I will go back through, listen to everything, and scale it down or produce more or whatever. Let's move on. In this section of this, the curriculum is a position in infrastructure. So in infrastructure or building requires a foundation, the platform or the phase, the flow, the material, the safety systems, the maintenance plan. There are some requirements, but let's move on to the next slide. Because I'm going to come back to that. Completely come back to that. The building process. But before we get into the building process, let's deal with the history. And you see, there is a lot of dating back to curriculums. But the one thing that I am going to bring out about the history foundation of curriculum is the fact that curriculum means to run or to race course. The course runs to reach a goal. In education, it becomes a structure course of study. A learner runs towards mastering or transforming their studies. One of the things that I want to bring out, at its foundation, curriculums must always be about 1, what should be taught. 2, in what order should it be taught? Number 3, why is it or why it should be taught? And number 4, how learning should be measured. But there are 3 things that I want to bring out about what you're seeing on the screen. It was number 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. In the medieval times, in the University of Paris and Italy, curriculum was first came out. It was something that was discussed. It was something that they hadn't put a name on it yet. And so, but in the 1500s, the word curriculum came out in France. It came out in England, such in Oxford and Cambridge. That's where the father of the modern curriculum theory came about. His name was John Franklin Buttitz. And he published the first book called The Curriculum. which his argument was education should be scientifically designed. Curriculum should prepare students for real life roles. I totally agree with him. Learning up, and his third point was learning objectives must be clearly defined. He produced a systematic plan and measured its outcome. But then again, in 1949, we had a Mr. or Ralph W. Tyler, and he developed the Tyler system. He had 3 questions. What education purpose should the school seek to obtain? What experience will obtain their purposes? Number 3, how can they be organized? Number 4, how can we determine whether they are obtainable? So the question is, what framework will shape curriculums today? I'm so glad. So in other words, we see in the 1500s, or I just explained about the 1500s, about curriculums and England and Scotland and the Netherlands, but I also want to deal with the biblical side. Well, let me just first say the word curriculum is not in the Bible. But the structure spiritually formats absolutely consist in the Old Testament education structure. Let's deal with Deuteronomy chapter 6, verse 6 and 7. And it says, and these words which I command thee this day shall be in thy heart, and thou shalt teach them diligently unto thy children. Israel had a generation instruction. They had a learning base. They had a verbal or oral meditation. They had the law-centered education. Guess what it's called? The Torah. The Torah functions as a national curriculum governing 1, worship, 2, ethics, 3, law, and 4, family, and 5, governance. Another portion in the scriptures is in 1 Samuel and also 2 Kings. We structure the prophetic community. And in 1 Samuel chapter 10, verse 5, 2 Kings chapter 2, these are training or spiritual systems or spiritual formation systems that is in the Bible. That's the Old Testament. Let's deal with the New Testament and curriculums. The teaching models of Jesus. Jesus used a structured discipleship model. He selected 12, or he called his selection, he's calling 12 people. Number 2, he teaches parables and he did sermons. Number 3, he demonstrated miracles. Number 4, in Luke chapter 10, he sent or he delegated 70 disciples. And number 5, on the teaching model of Jesus, his curriculum. It was the assignment or the assessment. Who, remember that question that he asked? Who do men say that I am? That's the assessment. Did you ever think about it like that? Oh, when I was doing my study, I got all excited because I was like, curriculum's not in the Bible. How am I going to do this? And everything I studied based on Jesus' model, based on the school of the prophets, based on the Old Testament, I was totally like I'm getting excited. So let me just calm down. Okay. Another thing, let's go to Paul in the um, Apostle Paul. Apostle Paul had a structure as well. In 2 Timothy chapter 2, verse 2, and it says, and the things that thou hast heard of me among many witnesses, the same commit thou to faithful men who shall be able to teach others also. This verse literally reveals 4 generations of transferable motto that Paul taught. First Paul, then it went to Timothy, then it went to the faithful man, then it went to others. You get the idea about curriculums and why they're important and how it comes down. You could be like Paul. You are teaching a student or students. Then those students take it to faithful or to other people. And then those other people take it to somebody else. Have you ever, okay, let's just have a commercial break. One of the things that ends up happening is that with your, you might say things, okay? I'm the one, you heard this saying, people come in our lives for a season, a reason, for a lifetime. Well, Althea put something else, a spin on that. I have only one time, one chance to impact you for eternity. Now, can you imagine? That's my little trick, but I take it and I give it to you guys. You take it and you share it with somebody else. And then you share it, they share it with somebody else. And then they share it with someone else. It's the same thing with curriculum. Same identical thing. Let's move on. So let's deal with this curriculum objectives. It's very clear on the objective. You got to have a defined clearly. You got to define curriculums clearly, especially the objectives. You got to set clear, precise goals. And before I move on to the next point, let me just say this. The first and most critical step in curriculum is development. Many organizations confuse curriculum with the contents delivered, the lesson plan, and the teaching material. However, curriculum is not simply what is taught. It is the structured system that governs what is taught, why it is taught, how it is taught, and what results will it produce. So, the next one, the design measurable outcomes creates a objective. And give me 1 second here. One of the things about the design measurable outcome is the fact, I'm going to give you 4. 1, it's use action verbs such as design, construct, impel, or elevate. Number 2, when we're dealing with measurable outcome, you got to describe the performance. Number 3, you got to align with an assessment. And number 4, you got to reflect institutional standards. And number 5, connect directly to the program's purpose. So let's go to the next one. Build structured program. Develop organized curriculums. And I like to break this section down into 5 different ways. 1, the structure program is divided up into 6 things. Each one of these have 6, but I'm going to just give you 2 of each because of time. 1, when you have a structure program, you got to have a clear unit. You got to have a reinforced circle. Let me give you another one. Define time framework. Then it's the structure, building on that structure, you got to have a architecture. In other words, remember those questions that started at the beginning? What comes first? What builds upon it? What supports the mastery? What or why does assessment occur? How does the entire system connect? Then it brings you to my 3rd point, which is strong structure prevents. Your content sometimes has to overlap or overload. You got to sometimes at a time or another, you got to gap in lessons, like give a commercial break. Like when you're teaching, you just can't always stay to the script. You got to make it personal with people. Another thing, or my 5th, is about built structures, is that structure has to be created. You got to create the learning clearly. You got to have knowledge on the professionalism of it, and you got to have the framework for it. Now we're going to move to the plan for growth and delivery. Well, 1, you got to have a plan, a scalability plan. This means that you can it be licensed? Can it be adaptable across any region? Can it serve multiple audience? In the delivery, you got to have the mode of, is it in person? Is it hybrid or, online? Is it corporate? Is it going to be executive on the executive level, also on the delivery. Will you have a what is it called? A certificate model that when people come through your course, that you will say, "Oh, I'm going to give them a certificate." Okay, in my ministry, commercial break. In my ministry, when you come to the She Within You, I always send out a certificate of attendance. That means that for me, I have a certification model. Even though it's a ministry, I like to give away something. And that's one of the things that I do. Um, Another one is the growth planning. You got to think about your staff. You got to think about technology platforms. You got to think about digital, um, the continuous improvement on circles for growth. That is important. And the fifth portion of a curriculum objective is understanding the value and the money portion or the revenue of it. So in an institutional value, you got to have strength, brand, authority. You have to have an established experts or established expert, like do something that nobody else has done or create something. Like a lot of times we want to go and say, "Oh, I don't want to reinvent the wheel," but sometimes God wants you to bring out your own creativity. I believe anyway. Then also you got to have differences, the organization or the ministry or the school or however you're doing your curriculum, you have to have, it must be attracted to partnership. You got to understand that sometimes you got to partner with people. In other words, to make this happen, for me, I had to partner with Psycha University and Seminary. Another thing, economic value, the cost of fees or intuition or the certificate fee or the license mode or the digital product you're selling. Um, these are or membership programs. These are all comes under curriculum objectives or understanding the value of it. Then it's the long-term value, whether or not it's going to be digital accessible when the lesson is complete. Prime example: when someone takes um, one of the courses through Substance Institute, they have a back. Um, they have their students portal that they can go even after the school is done or the class is done. I leave it open for them for 1 month. Then I go in and shut it down. But that is something that is valuable. That adds on to the cost of your curriculum. Okay? When curriculum is a package or position, it becomes a revenue stream. It becomes a partnership magnet. It becomes a legacy system, and it becomes a builder for the next curriculum that you're doing. Let's move on. Remember, I was talking about building? This right here helps you to understand about curriculum definition. It's a building plan. That's basically what it is. It's the purpose of building, why it exists, and what it will your curriculum achieve. Well, let me give you a definition. A curriculum is a design system of learning that organizes knowledge, experiences, methods, and assessment into a structured pathway that leads to measurable growth and transformation. Once again, curriculum is not a syllabus. It is not just a lesson plan. It is not contents or content collection. Looking at what you're seeing on the screen, a curriculum is a architect of learning. It's a teaching tool or instrument and a leadership system that we can develop. So, the purpose for building is, once again, one question I left out, you see it there, is what gaps does it fill in the purpose of the curriculum? Curriculum begins with a clear or clarity of purpose. Without purpose, contents becomes a noise. The learning outcome, if it cannot be measured, it cannot be evaluated. If it cannot be evaluated, it cannot be proven. So let's deal with the structural framework. And it's set up in 7 different ways. You got to have a topic. It's got to be named. You got to have a module. You got to have a concept. You got to have a theory. You got to have, number 5, you got to have skills. And in some cases, you got to have case studies. And you got to have activities. Activities will be like homework, assignment, answering questions, writing an assessment, or doing an assessment. The next one is material or materials uses. So, what type, why, or how will it be taught? Will it be taught through lecture? Will it be a discussion? Will it be a project-based learning, a digital delivery, or a hybrid model, which means it's teaching and it's digital. Also, how will mastery be performed? So glad you asked. Through questions, exams, projects, assessments. These are all material uses that you can do when you are working on a curriculum. So, the longevity plan. The longevity plan is the sustainable and future growth. In other words, you got to ask yourself, can this program be repeated? Can it be digitalized? Can it be updated over time? You know, if you are of the old way, before COVID, before AI and all this stuff, before we became really digital, people had their stuff in paper, like I do right now. But you also have to realize we are living in a day where everything has to become digital. Sustainability determines long-term value. Let's deal with the safety system or the protection or the assessment. That is a good one. So first of all, it is at its highest level, curriculum is power. The safety system is that it shapes thinking. It shapes cultures. It shapes leadership. It shapes institutes. It shapes generation. Don't underestimate curriculums now. But let's deal with the flow of the movement in our structure. A strong curriculum moves learners from uncertainty to clarity, from ignorance to understanding, from theory to application, from weakness to completion, from um, potential to demonstrated capacity. That is all about the curriculum definition. Let's move on. Wow. You look at this and you'll be thinking, my God, what is she doing here? I mean, when you deal with the curriculum architectural model, you got to look at the structure, integrity, power level. In the foundation, you have to have structure, governance, and um, integration. Another thing that you have to have as things progress in your writing a curriculum or in your model is the fact that you got to have a performance and growth power level, which means that you got to have sustainability. You got to have outcome. You got to have influence. You got to make sure it's transformation. You got to have transformation. You got to have durability, and you got to have innovation. Those are the things that you have to have when it comes to this a curriculum model. The next thing, as we move on, I have been working on curriculums since 2014. I got a prophetic word one Sunday morning that this pastor said. He said, you will be, God said, you will be dealing with curriculums. You will be teaching it. You'll be writing them. And I was like, God, I didn't tell him this, but I was like, God, one, what is a curriculum and how do you spell it? Well, over the years, in 2014, so it's been almost 10 years, I have come up with the 7 keys of curriculum design and writing. I'm just going to briefly go over them, just name them, and then we're going to move on. Because in my 4-week course that I do called Beyond the Lessons, this will be taught to you, but I'm just getting ahead of myself. So let's deal with this. First of all, you have to have clarity of vision. You have to have structured architect. You got to have alignment, and you got to have number 4. You got to have the scalability. You got to have the mechanism. You got to have the transformation mapping. And you have to have from ideas to institution, such as the structuring of your, um, hold on one second. Number 7. Oh, here it is. Number 7, you got curriculums must outlive a single event. That is important. Sustainable includes documentation, leadership, success, resource allocations, updates, qualified control, sustainability sustainability curriculum becomes an asset, not an event. Let's move on. This right here is the infrastructure test of any curriculum. These are the things that you have to think about when, if you can answer these clearly, you have an infrastructure, the destination. Once again, everybody starts at the beginning. My brain sort of goes different. What is the outcome? The destination. What transform must happen at the end? Then you got to have a blueprint. What is the structure of the blueprint? What is the plan? Then the next one is the quality control. How do we measure the mastery of the curriculum? The repeatable tools. What template and guides makes delivery consistent? The expansion plan. How does this multiply without losing quality? And the maintenance plan. How is it reviewed, updated, and strengthened? Here it is. I came up with 9 glossary on the word curriculum. Alignment, assessment, and you can all see it right there. The meaning, I have it all there. The 6, 7, 8, 9, 7 learning outcomes, scalability, scalability, and stability. That brings us to, oops, went too far. Remember I mentioned about the beyond the lessons, writing and developing a curriculum. So what is this about? It is a transformation 4-week curriculum development and writing certificate course designed to help leaders, education, ministries, entrepreneurs, organizations, and institutes to move beyond simply teaching lessons into building structured systems that create a measurable impact, growth, and transformation. One of the things that I have learned in the last 12 years is the fact that curriculum has that one thing that I enjoy is transformation. When someone's light bulb goes off and they go, wow, I didn't know that before. I love that. I have created, Dr. Althea Winifred, a comprehensive course equipping the students with a foundational principles and strategy framework curriculum architect model a sustainable system necessary to design purposefully scalable and high impact curriculum. Through the 4-week curriculum development writing certificate course, students will gain the tool to confidentially develop courses, train programs, leadership leaders, become leaders in institutes, organize learning systems, and have an educational framework that is structured for excellence and long-term influence. This is a little bit about it. One of the things that you will notice is that on week 1, you'll be dealing with the foundation of curriculum development. The theme will be understanding curriculum and why it matters. Week 2, understanding the architect of curriculums. The theme will be a system that produces transformation. Week 3, you'll be learning about the 7 curriculum designs and writing, a strategic curriculum mastery. And this is my favorite one. In week 4, you'll be learning about the ITYs. You know, all those words that end with ITY? Well, you will learn all of that in week number 4, the design and curriculums that last beyond the lesson. So that's exciting about. And now this is your portion. This is where you can open up your mics, and I'm going to stop sharing my screen. And I want to personally thank everyone for coming and being a part of this, my first. It's not my last. I can guarantee you that. My first curriculum introduction, the power of developing a curriculum. Anyone have a question? We have 7 minutes left, and I am open for whatever.
Good morning, Dr. Winifred. Good morning to everyone.
Hi.
Thank you so much for this introductory course. It was really, really helpful. One question that I have is for persons that may sign up for your course. Now, let me just give you a little backstory. So this is something I've been working on for a very long time. But you mentioned something that was really important. It's not supposed to be an event. It's supposed to be scalable and sustainable. And that's where I've always had my roadblocks. Building something that can be sustainable, scalable, and then that you can earn from. So is this session, this 4-week course, is it one where if you already have maybe a curriculum or information that you've put together, even a book, that you will be, when we're finished, we'll be actually able to use that and develop that curriculum to a point where it's actually you can do revenue generation and all that from it? I'm just asking.
Yes, ma'am. You will, in the course, you will learn, as mentioned, all the different aspects of it, but you will also be able to put a price tag on it, if it makes sense. And then the other thing is, lots of times we look at one thing or a lesson or what we want to teach or even a book, and we look at it and say, oh, I'm doing it in 2026, But as time changes, you might have to go in and do an upgrade. So yes, to your questions, yes, the course will help you with your um, anything that you want to do when it comes to learning about curriculums. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Someone asks on the course and the cost. The course is a 4-week course. It's $125 per week or $500 for the whole 4 weeks.
And is that US dollars, Dr. Winifred?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am. Does anyone else have any questions? No?
Dr. Althea,
Yes.
Dr. Um,
Hello, Bermuda.
hello. Is there a possibility that the curriculum is preparation for business opportunities?
Yes. Yes, it is.
Mm-hmm.
You can create a curriculum that you can teach or um, yeah, teach and make it. Well, I know a little bit about you, but you can use your ministry and be able to present it to the powers that be, that where you go in, you can um, have the government or the place that you go. I don't want to put all your information out there, but you can literally build a curriculum that you can present, do a proposal, and say, this is what we're going to do. And yes, matter of fact, when I do a curriculum or
Mm-hmm.
a proposal, I
Mm-hmm.
put together a um, a curriculum. I put together a proposal based on um, as if it was a curriculum,
Mm-hmm.
because that is how my brain functions, if it makes any sense.
Mm-hmm. It does.
So
Thank you.
yes, yes, you can.
Mm-hmm.
You can write a curriculum, or what I like to do, a proposal, and then put a price tag on it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Thank you so much. And thank you for the presentation. It was very helpful.
Thank you. Anyone else? We got 1 minute left.
Dr. Althea,
Um,
Yes.
this is Dr. Prestel. I don't have a question, but I just want to thank you for being bold enough to put it out there for us. I want to thank you. It really means a lot. And we may not be reacting right now, but we've got to digest it and chew it and eat a little bit. But we are very, very grateful for you doing this. It's very good.
Thank you. Thank you so, so much. Um, Ricardo has asked, he said, will this introduction presentation be available to us again? I will check with Sychert University and Seminary, and I will really get back to you. So please, please send them your reviews and give them a 5-star or 10-star, whatever you want to do for me. I would greatly appreciate it. Another question is, what is the duration of each session and what days? Okay, I am so flexible that I work around your schedule. So it is approximately 2 hours. And but you will have homework, you will have to do an assessment, you will have to do in homework, you will also have questions, 10 questions that you will do. You will write at the end a final paper. So you will be able to, you have a final paper on 2 aspects, like what you have learned from the ITY or the 7 keys. That's what the homework will be like. Okay. Well, everyone, thank you for joining. Thank you for Psyche University and Seminary for allowing me to put on this. I greatly appreciate them. I greatly appreciate you for taking out your hour of your day, your 60 minutes to be here with me. Thank you. Have a great day.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye bye.